Every flight takes off in the same manner. Every flight has the same conclusion. The same things happen on every flight. Poor food, odorous other passengers, rowdy kids, subpar entertainment, and passengers who linger too long on the stretch deck or in the lavatory. It makes no difference what kind of vessel you're aboard or whose space liner you board. Indeed, the same holds true for travel within planets. Traveling is exploring the entire galaxy. Welcome to the team. We're happy that you trusted us with your travel, even though we know you have options when it comes to space liners. We will arrive at Relay Hub 717 after 43 hours and 17 minutes of flight time. During the flight, mobility time will be allocated by sections to ensure that every passenger has an equal chance to benefit from the health advantages of not being confined to their seat the entire time. Beginning 2 hours and 7 minutes into our flight duration, meals will be provided every 6 hours on the hour. For the length of the journey, please remember that you are all confined to this ship with each other, so show everyone some consideration and refrain from using the lavatory excessively. All passengers will disembark from the boat when we reach Relay Hub 717 in order to cycle the systems and replenish all life support for the remaining portion of the voyage. Don't stray too far inside the concourse, since those who are staying on this vessel will be called to reboard after the 3-hour resupply time. As the flight attendants go over all of the safety measures on this Grendarian E762 transport vessel, please pay attention to them. In the case of an emergency, you will be asked to assist if you are situated close to an evacuation airlock, an EVA suit deployment closet, or both. Please inform the closest flight attendant if you are unable or unwilling to help in such a situation, so that we can replace you with a passenger who is ready and able to help in an emergency. Settle in and relish the journey. The captain read the prelude to the flight with an excessive amount of cheerfulness, and the flight attendants, each with a different degree of sincerity, smiled their way through the required demonstrations. With varied degrees of resentment towards the condition of their luggage storage, the many species present in the passenger compartment took their seats and settled in for the journey. Among the group of people traveling in different colors, shapes, and numbers of limbs, no one paid attention to the lone human. Nobody gave a damn, therefore nobody noticed. The only thing that made humans slightly unique was that they were a new race to the sky and were still quite uncommon outside of authorized human transports. But none of them gave the human among them a second consideration, because they were all preoccupied with their own ambitions. The human was equally intent on traveling and was relieved to find a seat that wasn't too packed and close to where she had found room for her carry-on bags. She relaxed, closed her eyes, and fell asleep with her portable terminal neatly tucked under the seat in front of her. Up until that point, the flight was quite dull, routine, and absolutely usual. The ship quivered, sending a ripple of impact across the passenger cabin's floor. Everyone was made aware of the situation of the passengers above by the startled screams of those being thrown around the upper deck's stretching area and vents. When the pressure masks went into use, they hung in front of every breathing hole for passengers in the standard cabin. Rolling back towards the craft's stern, the drink service cart crashed through a toilet door and knocked one flight attendant forward several rows. After blinking, the lights went off. The floor and ceiling emergency strips illuminated. There was complete silence for a time, followed by an endless period during which everyone's minds processed the circumstances of their current predicament before the shouting started. Terrified screams, cries of agony, cries of surprise and perplexity. The sound of the ship's intercom pierced the silence that had preceded the screaming, which continued for an even longer duration. Passengers, pay attention. We have encountered an incident. There was a gestural halt that stopped the passenger conversation just as it was starting up again. We have full cabin pressure and more than enough supplies to last everyone on board until the rescue ship can come to replenish supplies and tow us to the relay hub. As of right now, everything is good. Please maintain your composure and help the cabin crew however they can. The captain said, "I will update ever." But the explosion that rocked the craft's aft section and blew an arc of debris away from the starboard engine, drowned out his words. The remnants of fuel and oxygen that had spilt mixed and flash combusted, freezing into a rainbow of sparkling exhaust crystals and producing an amazing flame show that shot into space. Gravity wavered, letting some objects drift away, while firmly holding others in their proper places and crushing some to the surfaces in a grip that was closer than meant. After attending to their own injuries, the flight crew moved throughout the aircraft, tending to the injured and distressed passengers. After 30 minutes of the first event, the ship's dimly lit interior was silent as some passengers, high on tranquilizers or painkillers, slept through the night, while others sobbed silently. In case they were needed, several had put on their pressure masks. "We have a problem, and we need to inform the captain," the human said to the flight attendant standing closest to her as she got up from her seat. "What is the issue?" the crewman inquired. The person said very softly, "Not here," guiding the crew member away from the other passengers and towards the closest service bay where the air conditioners had stopped due to the explosion. "Yes, we are aware of that, but it is not an issue. The masks will be adequate as their own life support system. You're not understanding. The air is still moving even when the circulators are off. How come? How are you aware?" "From where I sat, I could sense it." "Have you found a match? Or a match?" "A mate? No. I do, however, have a lighter. May I use it for a little while?" "Yes," the crew member replied, reaching into their pocket to retrieve a lighter. The human mused, "I guess form really does follows function," as she fiddled with the lighter for a time, amazed at how similar the designs were to lighters from all around the world. "All right. I need something to burn and produce a little visible smoke, like a serviette." The member of the crew obeyed, but why? The person ignited the paper and stated, "This is why." A few centimeters distant from the paper, the smoke billowed gently before veering quickly towards the craft's stern. "There is a breach here. We are running out of air." "Light up! I smell smoke," someone shouted. The human cried back, "Please stay calm. That was me creating a tiny amount of heat to seal a makeshift sample container. Don't panic. There's no need to be concerned." That was a prompt response, the crew member remarked in a low voice. The greatest last-minute explanation I could think of was that we couldn't afford to panic. "Will you now allow me to inform the captain?" "Indeed. Come on, let's go." The human proceeded through the ship with the flight attendant, eventually arriving at the cockpit. After 2 knocks and a passcode, the two were allowed into the restricted area of flight control, where the human could inform the captain of the terrible news. "I understand," was the response, "but there's nothing I can do about it, and alerting the passengers will just exacerbate the situation." "Why are you unable to take action? Is there not an emergency pack for this kind of thing?" Indeed. However, it was located in the area that detonated, and the backup kit was initially torn apart. By pure coincidence, we misplaced both of our pressure leak kits at the same incident. "Are you aware of the leak's location?" The captain said, "Yes," pointing to a particular amber alarm on the display screen. "It is beneath the passenger compartment in the hold. The other problematic locations were sealed off by containment bulkheads, but there appears to be a little breach in this hull panel." "Leave it to me to fix." "With what?" "I'm not sure. I'll manage to make it work." "You're likely going to perish if you go down there. The temperature in the aeroplane cabin is not kept within its typical comfort range. Everyone will perish there if no one descends. While I'm down there, let me worry about myself." The captain shrugged, which is how a human would most likely read his movements. "Okay. You are the skin. Could you please email me a rundown of the systems, showing me what is broken and what is functioning? It can be sent to any ship terminal. Is that where the terminal is located?" "Yes." "Move it over there. I'll see what I'm capable of." The person climbed down the service ladder behind the flight service room furthest forward on the ship and entered the underneath. It was quickly recognized that everything past that service ladder was destroyed and unreachable. With her cell phone serving as a torch, she made her way through a jumbled heap of misplaced bags while muttering to herself, "If I have to start somewhere, I'll start with that." Her tiny beacon finally found the luggage she was looking for after nearly 20 minutes of scanning the ship's dark interior. She let out a small yell of victory.